When you search for a perfect start to Minecraft Hardcore, you get all this BS. But congrats, you just found the only truly perfect hardcore Minecraft video on the internet.
I lost everything.
No, you didn't. Enjoy. We spawn in an ice spikes biome, so in other words, we might as well just start over. I head over to the nearby spruce forest and start doing all the basic stuff that everyone does when they start a new world. Wooden picks, stone picks, stone tools, and we're ready to move on. We come across a little cave with some coal, but zombies are guarding it, so I take care of them and use a glitch I know to mine the rest of it really fast. As I continue exploring, I spot a polar bear standing right on top of a ruined portal. The loot might be the worst loot I've ever gotten out of one of these. I honestly didn't know it could be that bad. I then try to kill the polar bear with the iron golem strategy, but this doesn't work, and so I take my anger out on the animals that can't fight back. Fun fact about me, I'm actually a vegetarian except for when it comes to the homies, so I grab some berries to prevent myself from eating any delicious meat. I spot a shipwreck in the distance, and one of the chests has a treasure map, so naturally I decide to put everything else on hold until I find the buried treasure. As we follow the map, it becomes night and mobs start spawning all over the place. We're starting to get closer though, which is exciting, but this unfortunately leaves us in a situation almost as sticky as the time I had my first kiss. I'm poisoned by a witch and lose half my health, but rather than killing it, I just let it heal up and run away like a coward. After being shot by a skeleton, I decide to finally make a bed and just sleep, so I stack up a bunch of blocks to place it. Anyway, I finally get back down to grab the bed and make the mistake of trying to sleep right away. This whole sequence of events was just so stupid I was laughing at myself as I edited this. If Dream's buddies are genuinely as bad at this game as I am, I could honestly believe that all the manhunts weren't scripted. We do eventually get to bed though, and now that it's daytime again, I kill a few cows for some food and keep following the treasure map. We're now right on top of the X, so I start digging around for the chest. We find it pretty quickly, and the loot is actually pretty good. Unfortunately, I have nowhere to put it, so I decide to look for a place to build a home base. This area with a ton of trees looks pretty good, so just like the company that wanted to build their headquarters in my backyard, I start a massive fire to clear all the trees out. It takes me the rest of the day to clear out a big enough area, so I decide to sleep again to avoid a repeat of last night. Although the land is clear now, I still need to flatten it out so I can build on top of it, so I clear my inventory and craft a bunch of golden shovels. Golden shovels are good for mining quickly, but they can only mine 7 blocks before wearing out, so I break them all within a minute. I then decide to just use the diamond I got from the treasure chest to craft a shovel. This might not be the best use of diamonds, but at least I'm not spending them on a hoe, a mistake I seem to continually make in real life. Anyway, after replacing all the floor blocks with dirt, I can finally start building up the base. Most of it is going to be wood, but I throw all the sand I mine into a bunch of furnaces for when I'm ready to place windows. I also craft an interracial shield. Alright, we're finally building up the skeleton of the base. Now, you might think I'm building a pretty problematic shape here, and you're exactly right. We're building a house. A house that is literally in the shape of the word house. I was going to make the house shaped like a different word, but would probably get me kicked off of social media. Now that we've built the frame, it's time to place the windows. While I'm placing the windows, let me tell you about the sponsor of today's video. Just kidding, we don't do sponsors here because I'm not greedy as hell, and also because nobody wants to sponsor us. Anyway, home base is actually starting to look pretty good, and I even do a couple things most people wouldn't even think of, like adding doors and filling in the walls. However, we've unfortunately run out of food, so I'm forced to head out and search for animals. We find some relatively quickly, so this should at least last long enough to finish building the rest of the house. This basically just means building a ceiling, and since every ceiling I've built on this channel has been made of leaves, we might as well continue the streak. I craft some shears and use their entire durability to mine oak leaves, which I then place on the roof of my house. It's supposed to make the house look like a tree, which doesn't exactly work, but still ends up looking pretty cool when it's finished. Now, you're probably thinking, wow, this house looks amazing, but at the time I built this, I thought it looked terrible. I think I might have just had some self-esteem issues because the person my parents called my special cuddle buddy broke up with me recently. Anyway, I make the unfortunate decision to replace all the front windows with cobblestone, which actually makes the build look bad, but at this point I'm done with this shit, so in the words of Drake after Kendrick Lamar accused him of being a child predator, it is what it is. We're now back to finding more food with the added twist of not being able to sprint. After shockingly not finding any animals in the forest I burned down, I decide to head to the ocean to grab some fish instead. The fish are surprisingly elusive, but once I finally catch a few, I have enough energy to chase down a bunch of real animals. Unfortunately, I end up getting lost and it takes me a while to get back to the house, resulting in a ton of mobs spawning around me. I decide to edge this creeper for a while to get him away from the house, but once he's far enough away, I do let him explode in my face. After filling up the crater with dirt, we decide to head out on a brief mining expedition. The first cave I jump down looks pretty promising, as we find a ton of coal and lapis right away, but there aren't any cows and I'm out of food again, which forces us back up. On an unrelated note, it's time to build a farm. I craft a bucket and a ton of fences and decide to make a giant dirt platform in a nearby river. In hindsight, this was a complete waste of time, but it still works, at least up until it's time to plant stuff because I don't have anything to plant. I spend most of the next night trying to get potatoes and carrots by killing zombies, which doesn't yield a single potato or carrot, but does almost get me killed by a baby zombie. This is another one of those sequences that just makes me laugh. I mean, I just ran away from a baby zombie, I'm looking at the door to see if it followed me, and then I try to sleep. Just because this is hardcore mode doesn't mean I'm a hardcore guy. Anyway, I eventually get to sleep, and the next day we finish the farm by adding fences, hoeing the land, and spending about an hour breaking grass for seeds. We only got a few, but it'll work for now. While we let our plants grow, it's time to build a factory farm. I know I said I was vegan, but let's be real, they're all faking it anyway. As I start building the fence, my roommate sees that I'm online and asks if I want to play some Twister instead. I'm all like,
yeah, I'll play. Call Sav, see if he wants to play too.
After 30 minutes of man-on-man Twister action, I get back on and finish building the fence. I venture out into the wilderness to find some animals, but they still won't spawn in the burned-down forest, so I end up having to lure them a few hundred blocks to get back to the house. Once I get the animals in the cage, I breed them and decide that it's time to make a mine. I craft a ton of ladders and start mining down, and get a bit lucky right away by finding some lapis and iron. We also dig into a cave with a ton of copper, but we ignore it the same way my ex-girlfriends ignore me, even though I'm always really nice to them and wave whenever I see them at the local library. Anyway, we keep digging into caves and we end up with a ton of iron, so I head back up to the surface real quick to drop it all off in the furnace, which, when it's done smelting, gives us enough iron ingots to make a full set of iron armor and some iron tools to go with it. As we push further down, we keep finding little caves with nothing in them, but eventually we do dig into a pretty big one that we end up exploring a bit. If you look closely, there's actually diamonds on the other side of this ditch, but I'm so distracted by this baby zombie with chainmail armor that I don't even notice them until after we kill it. We get enough diamonds to craft a pickaxe, which we'll do once we need to mine obsidian. There's also a ton of gold, which we will probably end up trading to piglins for 15 gravel and a stick. As we enter a pretty open part of the cave, I start hearing zombie noises, so I'm extra cautious as I walk around. You guys probably wouldn't guess this based on my calm demeanor, but I'm actually a very jumpy Minecraft player, and I usually just cut out the parts of the video where I get scared, like this one. Ah! Holy crap. Anyway, we're back to mining, and even though we've only been in this cave for 10 minutes or so, we have enough diamonds to make some diamond armor. I probably won't use them for armor though, or anything else. Oh, look, some gold. How exciting. Do. Gotta make sure there's nothing over here, and over there, and alright, we're good.
Oh my gosh.